Hi friends, welcome or welcome back to the Marketing Nomad YouTube channel. Today I have a tarot deck review for you and we are getting into the Tarot of the Cosmic Seed. This is by Lalania Simone. Now before we get into the review, I do want to say that this deck was kindly sent to me by Red Wheel Weiser, and I just wanted to say a very big thank you for sending this deck over for me to review. Now what you can expect in today's review video, we can expect, of course, the camera angle change. We can also expect me to share my thoughts about how I connected with this deck, my experience with using this deck, how I have been using this deck as well. And I'm also going to be sharing some tips that have worked for me in particular while using this deck. All right, now before we get into the review part of this video, let me just take a few seconds to read what is written on the back of the box. All right. So it says, connect with your inner wisdom and the richness of the world we live in. In an effort to decolonize the tarot, remove outdated ideas of hierarchy, and shift ingrained gender norms, Lalania Simone has created a lush and vibrant deck of unique imagery and symbolism with a diverse array of people and cultures. Having renamed the royalty cards, including the Hierophant, Emperor, Empress, and the court cards, Lalania has expanded their interpretation into energy signatures rather than personality types. The result is a deeply diverse spiritual tool, a bridge to the mysterious and the esoteric, as well as a guide to the everyday. Using the Rider-Waite-Smith as a foundation, this deck offers a twist. There is a 23rd card added to the major arcana, the Cosmic Seed, a representative of all of us as infinite cosmic spirits enmeshed in sacred flesh for a time on this earth. Now, this particular deck is by Red Wheel Weiser. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to shift the camera angle and then we shall get into how the deck looks and my thoughts about it. All right, give me a second. So this is what the box looks like. And the moment you open the box, you see the guidebook. The guidebook by itself is very, very simple. I think that there is enough information for you to get started with. And there are also kind of keywords for the reversals in case you are someone who reads reversals. So very simple guidebook, very, I guess I would say very straightforward guidebook. But most of the connection that you make with this tarot deck, I would say, is more on an intuitive level. It's more of your personal connection with this vibrant, this collage style artwork. The cards by itself, they're printed on very high quality cardstock, and there's like this smooth matte finish. I've been using this for about 6 weeks now, in at least 10 collective readings and private readings, client readings, and I would say that it is so easy to shuffle. Like this particular card deck, I would say stands out. There's just this brilliant ease to shuffling that I really, really enjoy with this particular card deck. And I've been using it for a couple of weeks now, and I would call it frequent use because I've probably been taking this out almost every single day in the last 6 weeks, and it's still holding good on its own. So I would say that the durability is pretty good for this particular card deck. What I especially love about, the design of the tarot deck is this turquoise metallic gilded edges. Oh my gosh, it makes it look so elegant and so aesthetically pleasing as well. It's just so nice to even look at the deck. Forget reading from the deck, even just looking at the deck, the gilded finish at the side, it's just so beautiful. For me, this particular deck, given the color scheme of this particular deck, it seems to me more to be connected to the higher chakras, like for example, your throat, your third eye, and your crown chakra. And that has been my understanding and my connection while using this particular deck. In particular, I found that this helped me with third eye chakra and crown chakra opening, just allowing those messages to come in, tapping deeper with my intuition. And given the blue, the blue significant color that comes through with this particular deck, I would say that it does help you connect with your throat chakra as well. So these 3 chakras I found to be relating to this particular deck, or at least in some form of connection with this particular deck. Now let's go on to the artwork. All right, so each card, there is a collage style artwork. It's a very unique arrangement of the symbols, the imagery, and it's extremely vibrant. Like, it catches your eye right off the bat. When you put it down on the table for you to interpret, there are so many different things that are moving around in this particular card. And I like that I said moving, because each card, I feel like the artwork is about movement. It feels alive. It feels like the card is trying to show you or trying to give you messages through movement, through color, and very intentional messages as well. I think that the artwork is very rich in like this very dreamy imagery, and sometimes also very mystical symbolism have come through. And I, in particular, have enjoyed, first off, watching the artwork, just looking through it, just trying to understand the artist's mind as she was designing this particular deck. Like, why did she choose this particular image? How did she kind of come up with this idea? And that's more of my initial experience with this particular deck, especially with collage style decks. I feel like it really speaks to the mind of the artist. And for me, that's where I try to understand, all right, well, what did the artist want me to understand from her placement of this image at this particular part of the tarot? Like, even where the image is situated also is a message by itself, and a lot of it has to do with how the artist wanted to communicate her thoughts, her understanding of this particular tarot deck. And for me, I think that there are certain parts of this deck that are very unique to the artist's mind. I think that Lalania Simone has done a fantastic job, and you can understand that she truly gets the symbolism, the elements, the understanding of the RWS traditional deck, and this is her interpretation of it. And I've enjoyed understanding her perspective of it. I've enjoyed connecting with her thought process about tarot and the individual card meanings as well. I think that this deck is a very, very inclusive deck as well. I think that there are diverse representations of different people, different kinds of people. I would even say different cultures. And I think that the gender norms as well in this has been challenged by the artist, which I thought was amazing. And that by itself, even, just the naming of the court cards and naming of some of the cards in the major arcana, that by itself is very indicative that the artist wants to shift away from the traditional form of hierarchy and create something that is very, very inclusive. So that was something that I respected, I appreciated as well. It does come through in your readings when you are, associating with the card. You kind of break free from the traditional norm of viewing the traditional card, and you take a step back, and by natural, like by a very instinctive connection to the card, you also free yourself from the subconscious, I guess I would say, cage that one might tend to put themselves when they are viewing traditional RWS tarot decks. So that was a very interesting experience for me as well while I was connecting to this particular deck. I would say that this particular deck is very high frequency. Like I told you, it's about the higher chakras. I, in particular, found a deep connection to the higher chakras when I was connecting with this particular deck. So for me, this is a very high energy, high frequency deck as well. And if I want to do like spiritual check-ins, or I just want some higher perspective to what I'm going through, something that is beyond me, something that is beyond my current spiritual understanding, I tap into this particular deck. Like I said, it's about the higher chakras, and I find that energy very, very prevalent It might be because of the colors that this particular deck uses, but it's also to do with the imagery and the inherent messages that come through from this particular deck as well. I would call this a deep deck, very spiritually deep deck. Yes, that is one thing that I would call this deck. And it's like the images by themselves as well, they feel familiar, but there's also like this very mystical vibe to it, and that kind of puts me in awe every time I pull a card out, and I'm just so in awe with the artwork. So that, I would say, is a really, really nice design by the very, very talented Lalania Simone. Now, in terms of intuitive ease and readability, I would say that this is designed for both beginners as well as experienced users. I mean, it does follow very closely to the meanings behind the traditional RWS tarot deck, but at the same time, there is a fresh perspective. Like if you go into the symbols that are used, the elements that are present in each of the tarot cards, it does offer you a fresh perspective. So I would say beginners as well as advanced readers. The guidebook by itself is very simple, very straightforward, but I would say, the guidebook, it's okay to take help from the guidebook, but this deck is more about you tapping into your intuition, tapping into the messages that come through from the images of this particular deck. So I would say that while the guidebook is helpful, I would say that it's more about your connection with the individual cards and how you interpret the cards. So overall, I would say that it is a very, very expansive deck, a very empowering deck as well, given that it breaks free from the hierarchy and the cultural norms of the traditional tarot decks. It's very empowering that way. And this deck, like I mentioned before, is more of a very spiritually deep deck for me. I would also say that it is a deeply intuitive deck. I guess, again, the color kind of unlocks those 3 chakras that I was talking to you about, and it just puts you in a different zone when you are using this deck. I found myself reaching out to this deck multiple times over the last 6 weeks, and it's quickly become one of my go-to decks, especially when I'm trying to understand a spiritual significance about something that I'm going through. And like I said, it's very high perspective. This entire deck, it just unlocks a different layer of understanding about what you're going through. So that has been very interesting for me to tap deeper into, and for me to analyze as well, because I think that this is probably the first deck that I have where I've kind of found that connection specifically to the 3 higher chakras, very, very specifically. So I think that was a very different experience for me, and it's something that I enjoyed. I never knew that a tarot deck could do that, but this one does it for me. So that was very, very empowering as well for me as well, right? To kind of tap into those higher 3 chakras in focus. Like it's not just about the messages coming through. It's also about how your connection is with those particular chakras because of the tarot messages that are coming through. So that I thought was also very, very beautiful for me to experience. Now, if you are looking for a deck for your personal growth, I would recommend this. If you are looking for a deck that is spiritually very, very powerful, can give you messages more on a higher realm, then I would recommend this particular deck. If you're looking for a high frequency deck, this is another deck. This is a deck that I would recommend. And overall, I would say using this deck, spiritual exploration is a good way to use this deck, given that the insights are more to do with your higher chakras. If you want chakra healing of the higher chakras, this deck is a good one. If you want to connect deeper with your intuition, this is also a good one. I would also say if you want to do meditation with this tarot deck, again, like I said, higher chakras, right? It's really, really good for that. You can just even take one card any card, because all of the cards have a very similar color scheme to them. So take one card and focus on it, meditate on it. And given that it automatically is like the color scheme is kind of tapping into your higher chakras, it's easier for you to meditate. It's easier for you to unlock the more spiritual messages coming from this particular deck. So I would say, yeah, meditation focus is also a good way to use this particular deck, all right? So overall, this is a deck that I have found myself reaching out to. I will say it again. It's a very, very deep deck, very deep. And the perspectives, the messages that come through from this particular deck, I mean, it's left me in awe. So I would highly recommend this, especially if you're a deeply spiritual person. I mean, of course, if you are already into tarot, most likely you are on that journey, right? I would recommend this particular deck just because the focus on those higher chakras is very, very, very unique to this particular deck that I have enjoyed, and I am continuing to enjoy that experience as well. All right. So I really hope that this review helped you get a good starting point to understand if this deck is in alignment with your needs at this point in time. And thank you so much for watching all the way up until here, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye-bye.